Yuffie Cloud.
All right, I think we're ready to go. Yeah. Check, check. Two. Check. Okay, take two. Three, two, one. Take two. Take one. Take two. What's it called? Take. I gotta. There's so. I'm stepping on everything. Oh, fuck. Okay. Said I was gonna start with oldest to newest. Alright. Alright, so I guess growing up, the main thing I was more into reading. Alright. This was one of the first books I remember really enjoying. We got The Lightning Thief. Okay. Show it to camera too. I guess like reading stories just helped me kind of like open up my mind and was like a creative outlet. Remember just like after class, in between class, all of elementary school, I was always just reading, reading, reading. I would like I would love to read so much that it became like a problem almost. So yeah, definitely reading was the start for me. Reading these types of books, definitely like young teenage boy fantasy kind of basic, but it really opened up those neural pathways, I guess. And then I remember I was always into cartoons, but then when I watched Naruto for the first time, that really opened my eyes and expanded my mind and really, I think, broke down barriers on what I thought a story could be because it was a lot more edgy. I just remember the Sound Ninjas and their attacks, and I remember watching that on Adult Swim as a little kid, and I thought it that really, I think the adult maturity of the content and like that mix between like what I thought to be with cartoons, like a very kiddie thing, it kind of like expanded my mind on what like animation could be, what stories could be, and they didn't have to just be like kind of like even with this stuff like PG. So I found a bunch of old stuff from when I was in fourth grade, I think. Drawings and stuff like that, little letters. Bad boy, 2014. Oh, my goat at the time. So of course we got Luffy, manga, comics, and then obviously movies. I would go like see a movie at least once a month um, with my dad. Like I think my relationship with my dad has really been the biggest factor in my love for film. So um, I definitely had a strong relationship with my dad because of that. And spending that time together, we would just watch movies all the time. It just also like grew that love for um, for stories and for storytelling. And I also remember like even before that, like I would with my toys, like when we talk about storytelling, like I was doing that from a very young age. Like as soon as I could grab a toy, I was like putting them together and like putting them out wherever and like making stories and like coming up with ideas of like villains and heroes and who wronged who. And I didn't need much to keep me occupied at that time. Like it was just like it could just be me and my Power Rangers, my Bionicles, my Ben 10 action figures of like all the different aliens, and I'd be fine. Like there's like a picture of me on a plane or something, and I just have like my little animal figures, and I'm just playing with that. Like I was always able to my creative mind was always active um, since super young, and I think I think I've always kept that. But there's definitely times when I haven't nurtured it. I haven't given given that space for myself to be who I am. I mean, like I think when I was 12, that was kind of like a turning point for me. Um, I think at that point in my life, I kind of like was feeling outcasted by my interests, whatever art that I'm into. I always want to like try to push myself to understand it and try to meet it at its level. And I feel like I'm always like, questioning like, oh, why did they do that, or why did they make that choice, or why do I find this choice interesting? And I feel like when I try to start that dialogue with when I was growing up, like with people at my school, I would always get like a weird look, or like I would be like, you know, it's just supposed to be fun, right? It's just supposed to be, entertainment. But, you know, yes, art can be entertainment, but I think art is also like just a beautiful form of communication, um, a unique translation of a person's inner thoughts. So that's when I realized like I cared about, like I just realized at some point that like I cared about art and everything, and in just a different way from like all my peers. And I kind of like went off on a journey where it's like I was focusing on just sports and trying to get better at that, and because I thought you know that's what I needed to be. um I started like growing some sort of like shame, I guess, or like, like when I talk about it with my friends, or like when I bring it up in conversation, like I'd feel like I bring up like the nerd loser shit, and I kind of wanted to be like, I don't know, I guess I wanted to fit in more, and like not be as, I guess, myself. That was definitely a hard spot for me, and I think I wasted a lot of time when I could have, like, if I was just being myself, then I feel like I could have flourished a lot more. Like even now, like thinking about it, it's like it's like the self talk, it's like the things you say to yourself, or like that I should compartmentalize that part of my identity, or um that part of who I am, I guess. That just led to like a lot of a lot of like self-hatred, because then it became where I didn't feel like I was good at either. I wasn't good at being the cool kid, and I wasn't like, because I wasn't being myself, I felt like I couldn't do that anymore. And like I felt like I didn't really know who I was. And that was when I was 15, and I remember thinking like when I go off on the field, like like I'm not good at anything now. Like I put all that effort and time into in my isolated time to get better at a sport, because I thought that that's what would make me happier, or make me feel better about myself, it ended up making me feel worse in the end because, like I said, then I felt like I wasted my time because now I don't even use those skills anymore. And I'm like, I was really, really, I guess, like lost at that point. And I remember like walking the field and wishing that, you know, I could like disappear or like uh, go away and like uh, let me be like free of this environment, I guess. Which sounds kind of dark, but like that's kind of where I was at. Like I didn't have like a strong social identity or like key friends in my life because I didn't feel like I was like them. I felt like I was kind of just like um playing a part or emphasizing, like I could still see myself like being friends with them, but I was emphasizing like only one side of my identity or only one side of my personality. And I didn't feel like I was capable of being like my full self around anyone besides like just my family, I guess. Like I couldn't be the real me. So that's where I was at. Um, but the thing that got me out of that was the thing that got me out of that was Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi's album Man on the Moon. And that kind of changed my whole perspective that someone could like almost parallel my life or like feel the same ways I was feeling and just express it in such like a beautiful way and just be so vulnerable like with their work, with their craftsmanship. I remember coming home from a match one day and it was raining and I just remember looking out the window and like crying on the bus. I felt like what he was saying I could do too, and I could be confident in myself. Yeah, that was definitely when I was hitting that like first big low in my life. That was definitely like my savior. I think honestly, I think listening to that album saved my life and like felt like it kind of like gave me purpose to like kind of like keep going and you know seek out what was on the other side for me. Um, and so after listening to Cuddy's album, I just became infatuated with rap and hip hop, and this was like all sophomore year. I remember just like walking through the halls, thinking of rhymes in my head, like freestyling in my head while like my teacher's talking, turning over my papers and writing just whatever came to mind. Um, like feeling like and it just made me feel like cool. It made me feel like it made like it felt like a superpower to be able to like express myself through rhymes and through words. All right. So I got a whole folder of shit from that time. So I have like a whole bunch of lyrics and ideas that I put down. Verses da da da. Just I printed it out a while back just so I could have like something to hold on to and just like neat to look through. I was definitely very inspired by Goblin and Odd Future and Earl Sweatshirt. So, and a lot of it very kind of derivative, but it's cool for the time, you know. It's cool to look back and then just see where I was at and that how that kind of affects my writing, like looking back. Um, I look back at those times fondly because of like just how creative I felt, um, and how free it was because I didn't like creativity was still at the time like not something not something that had to be weighed down by like can you get a job from this or can you make money off of this. It was just like I was just doing it for fun and like having a good time with it. And that that just kind of like I said opened the floodgates and allowed me to like express myself and um like be introspective because I just kept on listening to more and more rap music, more and more just music without any genre, you know, just because I just wanted to like because it wasn't something that I was into from a young age. Like everything felt so new. Like every album felt like so cool to me. My like daily routine was like after school, I'd like nothing, like I finish homework or like I would procrastinate and not do my homework, and I would go out to the we have like a neighborhood basketball hoop, take a basketball, and just put in like my earbuds and listen to albums for like hours on end until it was like dark out and my arms were tired. Yeah. Um, a memorable experience that I had though was I was writing, like I said, writing in class. Um, we had a class, just like a health class, and we were just like watching a movie. And so I took the time to like write some rhymes on the back of paper, and uh, and then I wanted to show it, like you know, show off my skills and like you know, be proud, be confident in like that side of myself. Um, then I showed it to my friends, and they're all like, "Oh, like what the heck? What is that?" Or at least that's how it felt to me. And then like one of the guys just like as a joke, you know, like ripped the paper up like, "Oh, that's trash," or like, "Oh, bro wants to be an artist." And then I remember like picking up the pieces and then like throwing it in my backpack and then trying to rearrange it later, see if I could like keep it, um, which I don't think I have anymore. But yeah, that was definitely like I was saying of like I felt like I could only express one side of myself when I was like around people. Funnily enough, at the same time, that kid was also a huge Mac Miller fan, and he's like, I know every Mac Miller lyric, and you know, but he was completely oblivious to what I was trying to do, and like that I had you know an affinity for that too, and I think you just see the dichotomy of the world and the I just saw like the split between me and the rest of people, and I felt like that side of myself couldn't be appreciated, um, because like who cares about that stuff in in the world that I live in the town that I'm in. Um, so it felt like I brought nothing of value to the table. That's what I felt like, and I think a lot of people think it's cool when they see like the famous person do it or like whoever that they look up to. Um, but then when you're actually like put in place when someone who's actually trying to achieve those things is right there in front of you. They don't clock it. You're just that guy on the side, you know. Um, yeah, I think it's like bullshit. That was during my sophomore year, and then right when I was getting into the groove of that, I guess, um, then COVID happened. COVID happened, and we're all locked in our rooms, right? And so I just went deeper into my creative outlet and started writing more and more. And then I got a journal as well, so I could write all my raps and all my rhymes. And I got it in this little thing, and I got this on April 29th, 2020. It felt like Eminem in 8 Mile. Yeah, just kept writing, and then um, a big thing happened in my junior year. I wrote a short story for my teacher, just a satire, and I wrote a story about um, about the life of a bad guy, and kind of it was a really dark story about like how the environment can change like a good person into a bad person. Yeah, so I did that, and I sent it out, and then a couple of days later I got this long email back uh from my teacher, just really applauding me for like what I was doing with the story, and like how nuanced it was, and where I was taking it, and da 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 da, and like, which really kind of lit me up and surprised me. After that, like, then I had like like a whole new boost. And like I felt like that creative side of myself was validated. And then I think like a couple months pass, and there's a poetry contest that comes up. It's optional. Um, and I'm like, well, you know what? I'm just coming off a big win. Um, I'll put my I'll put my 2 cents in, I guess, or I'll give it a shot. Because I've been writing so many lyrics, and I thought that was like helping me and like my storytelling, and so I thought I could really test out like my lyrical ability on on this on on this poetry contest. And like at the end of that week, I put it in a PDF, sent it over, and then it's just like, that's that, you know. Let's see what happens. 2.5, 3 weeks go by, and then um, I hear from my teacher that I got first place. Um, and yeah, so then I ended up going to that, and um, I I I went to like the award event, and then I got to read my poem and stuff like that. So like that that really gave me that really kept pushing me forward. And then that summer, so summer of 2021, um, I what's it called? I applied for, because then I did lyrical, and then I wanted to um go back to literature, but not in the novelistic in the novel way of, I wanted to write a screenplay. I wanted to write for film. I wanted to make movies. So I applied to a UCLA summer course um, for um, for the summer, and I got into that. I had a great time. It felt I felt really vindicated. I felt really like, I guess, on top of the world. You know, I mean, I was also seeing like, it was also kind of at that time from an arm's distance because it was remote and I didn't actually get to go to the UCLA campus. But I think even despite that, it was just a really incredible experience for me. But the validation I got from that felt like it couldn't ever be appreciated as soon as I got back to the real world, or to high school, to my small town. So when I got back, I was really unconfident. Um, and the one area I had confidence in, no one was gonna, no one was gonna like, no one was gonna appreciate that. That that that's the thought that was going in my head. And so I felt like I was also going back into how I was in middle school. I was like coming off that high of my junior year and like being so devoted to my craft and my art and like expressing myself, and then coming back to school after the pandemic was like pretty much gone. Like I felt like all the wind in my sails kind of left. But when I did finally get into the college and into the university, I was excited. I was like, I wanted to see what I could do, and I got to go into a city like I wanted. I got to go out of state like I wanted, and kind of like I think I was confident, but also very low in self esteem at that time. I don't know. I was kind of like paradoxical, um, and I think I still am. But when I went off to college, I did start a journal for college that I got right here. So this is the last entry was April 30th, 2025. I'm at the end of that right now. And specifically, I was journaling a lot. Um, so, a big thing, like when I went off to college, I was out of state, and like a lot of big life events happened. I don't even remember the exact months because I try to push it out of memory. But my mom ended up getting cancer, ovarian cancer, and that really took a toll on me because I was away from home and I felt like I wasn't there for her. I would write about it, but I was also like try to push it out of mind cuz I think when we talk about fight or flight, I'm definitely a flight person. But she's fine now. She's in remission, but we always live with the fact that it could come back. And I have like this doc like my reaction to my mom's first chemo session here. um I think like I just didn't know how to deal with it. I wrote, my mom is having her first chemo session tomorrow. I don't know what is wrong with me. I feel like I should be more concerned. It honestly doesn't feel real, and I don't want it to feel real. I feel like my brain is blocking out any negative emotions about the whole cancer thing. I'm not here, I'm just an imprint. Cancer, you kind of feel like that's like a movie trope, or that's like, you know, that doesn't happen to, us. That doesn't happen to, like, that couldn't happen to me, you know, like a freak accident or something like that. Um, but it can happen to any of us. So that happened my freshman year, like only a couple months after I got into school. I had that, and then I just like I said, I had like I didn't have any like great social experiences there at school. So I was going more and more in my shell again. But I would just like focus all that time into music and into like my creative outlet. So I did that, and then my sophomore year, like another big event happened when my tito had a near death experience where he was skiing and he had a heart attack, and then luckily someone was there to call emergency health and take him to an emergency room. They had to take him off in a helicopter, but that was definitely another like another vision into, like anything can happen. And then um, we found out that my dad had a big issue with his heart. um, so during my junior year he went to open heart surgery, and that was also hard to watch. Like that was like another thing, and I saw that. And then the first week of my junior year, my grandpa passed away, uh, and it was really out of the blue for us because my grandpa always was the most active of all my grandparents, and he was always playing tennis, but he was always out. He was always doing something. He was like, we would see him work out in the house and stuff like that. Like we would never think that my grandpa on my dad's side would ever, just succumb to anything. Like he seemed like in the best of health. I think with that, and then my mom's diagnosis for cancer, I think it really changed my view on like what the world is and what my vision of like, you know, of what mortality is. I think definitely like I realize how limited time is now, and like mortality, um, that things are never secure. Um, the only thing that is secure is death. The only, like that's the only inevitable. And if I want to accomplish things, and if I want to see, and if I want my grandparents to see me accomplish those things, then I have to make a change now. I have to, put my best foot forward. Um, and I feel like I haven't done that, but hopefully, like I just continue to push forward, continue to move on, and I can reach the heights that I want to reach. Um, yeah, but definitely my college experience has definitely been hard for me, and I feel like I haven't taken advantage of all the opportunities that have been given to me. Kind of squandered it, and just through my own negative self-talk and stuff like that. So I really just need to, not try to be better, but try to think different. Not try to be better, but, you know, be more accepting of myself, I guess, at the end of the day. I want to make a change. I want to, like, do something different. And maybe it's this, or it could be something else, but this is what I can do. This is what's in my control. And, like, what else can you do? You just have to keep moving forward, um, step by step, and then at some point you realize you're somewhere else. And I definitely want to, like, make a change and push past that, push past that, you know, that darkness, and, you know, just be honest with myself and be okay with myself. And learn to love myself and accept my failures, I guess, because I think I got lost in like a negative feedback loop. I feel like I also became just so I just I also at that point became so fragile that I didn't want to put myself out there and try new things. I felt like I was too broken to kind of have a relationship with anybody, um to like be any like I felt like I couldn't be anyone's good friend or anything like that. So yeah, in this one I was definitely feeling a lot of self-hate. This was February 2024. I don't want people to touch me. I don't want people to see me. No one can ever like me. I'm losing myself today. I'm ruining myself. Everything I want, I don't allow myself to have. I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. I'm nothing. So, yeah, these are definitely kind of hard to look at, but also I think now it's interesting because I feel like I've seen a bit of the light at the end of the tunnel. We live in a world that's gray, and there'll be points where it's really dark, and then there will be points where it's really bright, and you just have to keep believing and keep hoping and just I guess just trust in yourself. Um, and that's what I try to tell myself because I think just as humans we're paradoxical. We're not we're not rational creatures. I don't think we are. I think that you know we're fueled by what's in our hearts, what's in our souls, what's in you know what we have within our spirit. And sometimes it's not great that day, or it's not great for sometimes a long time. But I think over time I've learned that like everything will pass. Everything will pass. Um, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything will pass. Like I just continue trying to have a positive outlook, and like you know the the dark periods of my life, and like the dark periods of my life will help me better appreciate the highs and the levity that I feel like when I am actually around people where I'm happy and I get to be myself. So yeah, I just gotta keep looking forward. Um, you know, life is uncertain. Like I said, with all those experiences, like I've definitely been taught that you can't take anything for granted. So you know, at the same time, when like really sad things can happen, I think that really beautiful things can um, happen as well. So you know, I'm just trying to have hope and trying to have a positive outlook on wherever I go. Because even if I don't make it, or like I just hope that I find something for myself. And I believe that like you know I have I have something that can translate to people, but you never know till you know. Um, Do I have anything else I want to say? No.